Hollywood loves a good scandal. It's a place where perfection is sold, and rebellion is often condemned. But sometimes that rebellion creates an unforgettable legacy. The actresses we're talking about tonight weren't just stars. They were revolutionaries who defied the rules, shattered expectations, and used the backlash against them to become more powerful than anyone could have predicted. Mae West, the queen of double entendre. Before the 1930s, screen actresses were either wholesome sweethearts or tragic heroines. Then came Mae West, with her confident swagger and a wink that could launch 1,000 headlines. She wrote her own material, packed her dialogue with lines so suggestive they had censors sweating, and performed with a seductive purr that was utterly her own. Her hit film, She Done Him Wrong, wasn't just popular, it was a societal event. Censors from the newly formed Production Code Administration, PCA, demanded cuts. Religious organizations decried her as a corrupting influence, and moral watchdogs insisted she was single-handedly destroying the nation's youth. West didn't care. She famously quipped, "I believe in censorship. I made a fortune out of it." While critics clutched their pearls, audiences roared with laughter and kept buying tickets, cementing her as a symbol of unapologetic female power. Clara Bow, the it girl in the jazz age, Hollywood didn't just want stars, it wanted archetypes. Clara Bow, the original it girl, defied all of them. She wasn't a fragile, graceful beauty like Mary Pickford. She was a vibrant, fiery flapper who danced, smoked, and lived with an energy that felt dangerously modern. Bow played characters who embraced a new kind of freedom, living outside the rigid societal rules for women. For conservative America, her rebellious spirit was terrifying. Tabloids fueled the fire with exaggerated stories of her off-screen life, painting her as a bad influence who was running wild. Yet for a generation of young women, she was a liberating icon, a living, breathing symbol of the independence and liberation that was sweeping the nation. She was what they wanted to be, and Hollywood couldn't stop them from wanting it. Jean Harlow, the platinum blonde that sparked outrage. Hollywood's golden age was obsessed with wholesome, all-American beauty. But Jean Harlow was anything but. With her shockingly bleached platinum hair and an aura of defiant sensuality, she arrived like a lightning bolt in the early 1930s. She was the original bombshell, provocative, playful, and completely unlike the delicate starlets audiences were accustomed to. Films like Red-Headed Woman and Platinum Blonde pushed the boundaries of what was considered acceptable. Her characters openly seduced men and used their sexuality to get what they wanted. Critics were horrified. They accused her of destroying morality and setting a dangerous example for women. But Harlow wasn't just a vamp. She was a cultural phenomenon. She inspired fashion, hair trends, and a generation of women who wanted to be just as bold and confident. She proved that there was power in being seen as a dangerous woman. Greta Garbo, mysterious and defiant. While most stars craved the spotlight, Greta Garbo actively ran from it. She refused interviews, avoided premieres, and cultivated an air of profound mystery. In a Hollywood machine built on publicity and promotion, her behavior was shocking and a source of endless frustration for studio executives. Her famous declaration, "I want to be alone," became a global catchphrase. Critics branded her as arrogant, strange, and ungrateful for refusing to play the Hollywood game. They argued that her defiance was a dangerous precedent for future stars. Yet that very mystery worked in her favor. Garbo became one of the most admired and alluring actresses of her time, proving that sometimes the biggest scandal is simply refusing to give the public what it demands. Her silence was louder than anyone else's noise. Hedy Lamarr, Beauty with Brains, and Backlash. Hedy Lamarr was not only one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood, but she was also a brilliant inventor. However, her journey to America was haunted by a scandal that predated her fame. In 1933, she starred in the European film Ecstasy, which caused a global sensation with its nudity and one of the first on-screen depictions of female pleasure. The film was condemned by the Pope, banned in multiple countries, and religious leaders labeled her immoral. When she arrived in Hollywood, her past followed her. She was labeled the Ecstasy Girl, a title she hated and that threatened to overshadow her talent. But Lamarr was far more than a pretty face. During World War II, she co-invented a frequency-hopping technology to help the Allies guide torpedoes. This technology would later become the foundational concept for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS. Her story proved that you could be both brilliant and scandalous, a duality Hollywood couldn't quite handle. Marlene Dietrich, cross-dressing rebel. In an era when Hollywood's gender roles were rigidly defined, Marlene Dietrich smashed them. She famously appeared on screen in a man's tuxedo and top hat in the 1930 film Morocco, and sealed the deal with a kiss to another woman. The public was thrown into pandemonium. Censors were appalled, and tabloids had a field day with her gender-bending image. Off-screen, she continued to defy expectations, wearing men's suits in public and openly flouting societal norms. Her style was so revolutionary that it was considered an act of rebellion. The backlash was fierce, but her refusal to conform made her an icon for generations of artists and rebels. Dietrich wasn't just an actress. She was a walking, talking revolution against Hollywood's strict gender expectations. Rita Hayworth, the love goddess. Rita Hayworth didn't set out to be a scandal. She was created by one. In the 1940s, a provocative pin-up photo of her in a satin nightgown was plastered in soldiers' lockers and magazines worldwide. Hollywood seized on the image, branding her the love goddess. This persona made her a global superstar, but it also became her prison. The backlash was swift. Critics accused her of being too sexual, too provocative, and a dangerous influence on American values. Hayworth herself lamented the gap between her public image and her private self, once famously saying, "Men go to bed with Gilda, but wake up with me." She was trapped in a persona Hollywood demanded, and then condemned her for. It was a scandal she never asked for, but one she couldn't escape, forever linking her to the dangers of a commodified image. Ava Gardner, the femme fatale off-screen. While many actresses of her time crafted a careful public image, Ava Gardner lived her life with reckless abandon. Her real-life romances became a tabloid frenzy that eclipsed her acting career. Her marriages to Mickey Rooney, then Artie Shaw, then Frank Sinatra, were headline news. Her tempestuous affair with Sinatra was especially scandalous, nearly derailing his career. Critics and religious groups alike condemned her as immoral and promiscuous. The Vatican went so far as to issue statements denouncing her behavior, but Gardner refused to be shamed. She once quipped, "I was never the girl next door." She lived as a free woman, unburdened by Hollywood's moral expectations. While the studio system frowned on her choices, audiences were captivated by her fiery independence, a trait that made her a true icon of female rebellion. Lana Turner, the murderous scandal. Lana Turner's career was the epitome of Hollywood glamour and success. But her life took a dark, tragic turn in 1958 when her teenage daughter, Cheryl Crane, stabbed and killed her mother's abusive boyfriend, mobster Johnny Stompanato. The motive was self-defense, but the event was sensationalized into one of Hollywood's darkest and most notorious scandals. The trial was a media circus. tabloids ran wild with lurid details of Turner's personal life, her relationship with Stompanato, and her daughter's testimony. For months, she was the subject of public scrutiny, with her glamorous image forever linked to the violent crime. Despite the overwhelming public attention and judgment, Turner survived. She continued to act, starring in films like Imitation of Life, and proving that even the most shocking controversies couldn't erase her star power. Joan Crawford, Hollywood's Ice Queen. Joan Crawford was a titan of Hollywood, admired for her acting and feared for her ambition. While rumors of her demanding, controlling nature swirled during her life, the true scandal exploded after her death. In 1978, her daughter, Christina Crawford, released Mommy Dearest, a memoir that painted a horrifying portrait of a deeply abusive and cruel mother. The book's revelations about physical and emotional abuse, including the now infamous no-wire hangers scene, shocked the public. Suddenly, her glamorous, hard-earned legacy was clouded by images of harsh discipline and psychological torment. The book sparked a debate about the dark side of fame and a star's private life. Whether all the claims were entirely true or exaggerated, the scandal made Joan Crawford one of the most infamous figures in Hollywood history. A cautionary tale about the gap between a public persona and a private reality. Marilyn Monroe, America's blonde bombshell. Marilyn Monroe wasn't just a star, she was a cultural phenomenon. With her breathy voice, playful persona, and effortless charisma, she became the ultimate embodiment of Hollywood sex appeal. But her fame came with relentless scrutiny and backlash. Her nude photos for a calendar, taken years before she was famous, caused a moral panic when they were discovered. Her love affairs with powerful and married men, including a rumored fling with President John F. Kennedy, fueled endless gossip and public condemnation. Conservative critics and traditionalists saw her as a symbol of America's supposed moral decline. They didn't see the intelligent, ambitious woman who fought for better roles and even created her own production company to gain creative control. Her scandals made her famous, but her ambition, talent, and vulnerability made her an enduring legend. A complex figure who was both a victim of Hollywood's machine and a master of it. Jayne Mansfield, the PR stunt queen. Jayne Mansfield took a page from Marilyn Monroe's playbook and decided to turn up the volume. She intentionally courted controversy with her over-the-top antics, from wearing shockingly low-cut necklines to staging accidental wardrobe slips for the paparazzi. She lived for the flash of the camera and was unapologetic in her pursuit of fame. Her actions earned her countless headlines, but also a tidal wave of condemnation. Religious leaders decried her as obscene, and film censors mercilessly slashed her scenes. But Mansfield understood a fundamental truth about Hollywood: scandal sells. She used every ounce of public outrage as fuel, using it to stay in the spotlight and ensure her name was on everyone's lips until her tragic and untimely death. Brigitte Bardot, the French shockwave. In the 1950s, while American actresses were still navigating the strictures of the production code, French actress Brigitte Bardot redefined sensuality with her raw, uninhibited sexuality. Her breakout role in And God Created Woman was a global scandal. The film, which showed her dancing and living with a freedom previously unseen on screen, was deemed obscene by critics and conservatives everywhere. The backlash was intense. Politicians attacked her, and the Vatican condemned her as a symbol of lust and moral decay. Yet, the more she was condemned, the more her popularity grew. Bardot became the face of liberated womanhood, inspiring fashion, music, and the very concept of the modern sex symbol. What shocked her critics was exactly what made her a global icon: her refusal to apologize for her sexuality. Elizabeth Taylor. Scandalous love affairs. Elizabeth Taylor was a force of nature, gorgeous, talented, and unapologetically passionate. But throughout her career, her love life overshadowed her acting. Her 8 marriages and numerous high-profile affairs became a constant source of tabloid fodder and public outrage. The most notorious scandal was her affair with Eddie Fisher, which led to her leaving her 3rd husband and Fisher leaving his wife, America's sweetheart, Debbie Reynolds. The public outcry was immense. The scandal grew so large that the Vatican publicly accused her of erotic vagrancy. But Taylor was never one to be shamed. She lived and loved boldly, refusing to conform to the public's expectations of her. Her resilience and unwavering self-possession turned scandal into power. She wasn't just a movie star, she was Hollywood's queen of reinvention, proving that you could not only survive controversy, but thrive on it. Sophia Loren. Italy's answer to scandal. Sophia Loren arrived in Hollywood in the 1950s with a fiery confidence and curves that were a direct challenge to the demure American actresses of the time. Her beauty and boldness made her an immediate target for both admiration and criticism. Her famously low-cut dresses and passionate performances were often seen as too provocative for American audiences. One of the most iconic moments of the era was a photograph taken at a party where Loren is seen glaring at Jayne Mansfield's revealing dress. The photo became symbolic of Hollywood's ongoing fascination with and condemnation of female sexuality. Despite the constant scrutiny, Loren's talent was undeniable. She became the first actress to win an Academy Award for a non-English language role for her performance in Two Women, proving that her artistry was far more powerful than any scandal. Jane Fonda. Hanoi Jane. In the 1970s, actress Jane Fonda's career was nearly destroyed due to her vocal opposition to the Vietnam War. Her activism earned her the nickname Hanoi Jane, particularly after a controversial 1972 photograph showed her sitting on an anti-aircraft gun in North Vietnam. This image led to widespread public outrage, with many veterans and their families labeling her a traitor and boycotting her films. Despite the backlash, Fonda stood by her convictions, eventually rebuilding her career to become a 2-time Oscar-winning actress and a fitness icon. Her story is a testament to her resilience and the power of staying true to your beliefs, even in the face of public scorn. Madonna. Hollywood's pop provocateur. Madonna became a master of using controversy to her advantage, blurring the lines between a music star and an actress. Her career was defined by pushing boundaries, from her role in the provocative film Body of Evidence to her infamous sex book, which caused a global moral panic with its explicit photos. Despite being called vulgar by critics and condemned by religious groups, including the Vatican, Madonna thrived on the outrage. She understood that every headline and condemnation only served as more publicity, and this ability to weaponize controversy helped her become one of the most enduring and influential stars in history. Sharon Stone. The leg cross heard round the world. In 1992, Sharon Stone achieved superstardom after a single, controversial scene in the film Basic Instinct. During an interrogation, her character uncrosses and recrosses her legs, revealing she isn't wearing underwear. The scene sparked a global debate, with some critics praising her for portraying a sexually empowered character, while others condemned it as gratuitous. Despite the controversy, the moment made Stone a household name, and she successfully used the role to define her career as a bold presence in Hollywood. Angelina Jolie. From wild child to humanitarian. In the early 2000s, Angelina Jolie was known for her controversial and unpredictable public image. She made headlines for her unconventional behavior, such as wearing a vial of her husband's blood around her neck and kissing her brother at the Oscars. Despite being labeled as disturbing by critics, she underwent a dramatic transformation, reinventing herself as a dedicated humanitarian. Jolie began adopting children from around the world, directing films, and working with the UN. Her ability to move past her scandalous past and evolve made her reinvention all the more compelling. Lindsay Lohan, from teen queen to tabloid star. Lindsay Lohan was once a promising actress with a successful career in films like The Parent Trap and Mean Girls. However, the pressures of early fame led to a series of highly publicized scandals, including arrests and rehab stints, which overshadowed her professional life. Despite being largely dismissed by critics and shunned by Hollywood, the public remained fascinated by her story. Every comeback attempt and new role made headlines, demonstrating a continued public interest in her journey and a hope for her redemption. From Mae West's witty defiance to Lindsay Lohan's chaotic fall and eventual rise, these 20 women didn't just act in movies. They acted out revolutions. They were lightning bolts that crashed through the polished facade of Hollywood, leaving behind headlines, scandals, and endless debates. They shocked, they scandalized, and they faced backlash that would have ended lesser stars. But each of them left something permanent, proof that controversy doesn't erase greatness. In Hollywood, the stars who play it safe are often forgotten, but the ones who risk it all, the scandalous, the fearless, the unforgettable, those are the legends who live forever.